Hello friends, welcome to the Abrams Children's Books Fall-Winter 2021 Preview, Picture Book Edition. I'm Jenny Choi, Director of School and Library Marketing. Let's kick things off with Pig and Horse and the Something Scary. Pig can't stop thinking about something that is bothering her. And try as Horse might to get her mind off of it, with bike rides and swims and silly hats, it is no use. Pig realizes she may have to let whatever it is out, and Horse gets an idea. Why don't we invite whatever it is to tea? Because tea time brings out the best manners in everyone. It turns out there are many things troubling Pig, so the two friends confront each fear together. They soothe darkness with a song, offer loneliness a cup of tea, and give some tasty treats to that scary creature from Pig's bedtime story. I really love how this story encourages honest conversations about what's going on in our heads and how author-illustrator Zoey Abbott manages to tackle worries and anxieties in a lighthearted, even funny way. And she cleverly shows these fears as physical characters. Of the book, Zoey says, I wanted to give a child-adult relationship a metaphor to keep in their back pockets. A kid might not be able to say, I'm having X problem, and this is why, and this is how I feel about it. But if a kid could say, today I am Pig, an adult could then start asking questions. Metaphor can be a beautiful and effective entry point into understanding. Zoey and I both hope that this gentle and perceptive story will help young readers better understand what's scaring them and reassure them that with a supportive friend by their side, there's nothing they can't face. And now I turn it over to our talented picture book creators.
Hi, my name is Gladys, and I'm the illustrator of Clayton Parker Really Has to Pee, written by Cinco. Clayton Parker can't wait for his field trip to the zoo, and when his teacher encourages the class to go before they go, Clayton rushes onto the bus instead and doesn't give it a second thought. Unfortunately, when the bus leaves, Clayton realizes that he actually does need to go. One of my favorite pages to illustrate, and mind you, I had a lot of favorite pages in this book, but one of them would have to be this very moment when the teacher is encouraging her students to go to the bathroom. And she says, if you have to go, my friends, the time to go is now. And of course, Clayton doesn't go. But two of his other classmates actually do listen to the teacher's warning, and you see them off to the side kind of realizing, yikes, I gotta go to the bathroom. I didn't want to make this page just about Clayton. Ignoring his teacher, I also wanted to show the kids listening and deciding to use the bathroom before leaving. I think this page is a turning point for all of the characters, not just Clayton. It's the moment everything is set into motion. We have the kids who went before they left, and then we have Clayton, who didn't go. And while all of his classmates got to enjoy the day at the zoo worry-free, Clayton spent the entire time trying to find a bathroom. Choices have consequences. Even though I ache for Clayton's struggle, I'm glad we got to see the consequences of his choices. And we got to see Clayton learn the hard lessons and learn that it's very important to always go before you go, which is pretty much the whole point of the whole story.
Hi everyone. I'm Rajini Laraka, and I'm so delighted to talk to you today about Where Three Oceans Meet, written by me and beautifully illustrated by Archana Sreenivasan. Where Three Oceans Meet was inspired by a trip I took when I was a kid with my family. It's about a little girl named Sejal who lives in America but travels to India to visit relatives. And she decides to take a trip with her mother and grandmother to Kanyakumari at the very southern tip of India, where they say three oceans meet: the Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal, and the Arabian Sea. Now, along the way, Sejal and her mother and grandmother experience all kinds of sights. They travel by car, by train, and by boat. They eat all kinds of delicious food, meet interesting people. And when Sejal finally gets to what she calls the end of the earth, what she finds there is what she's had all along: the love between mothers and daughters that transcends distance and transcends time. Some of my favorite parts about Where Three Oceans Meet include The fact that Sejal and her mom and her grandmother are different from each other. They're all going on this trip kind of for different reasons. They wear different kinds of clothes. They like their food in slightly different ways, but how they all enjoy each other's company and ultimately kind of feel the same things about each other. One of the other things I love in Archana's illustrations is just the way she uses color, both in the landscape, in one of the temples that Sejal visits, and in the clothing that all three women wear. And of course, one of my favorite things about any book is the food. There are all kinds of delicious foods that are very specific to India, including a paper dosa as big as the table. And Archana's illustration of that just it makes my mouth water every time. Now, this is a really important book to me. It's very close to my heart because it really conveys the closeness that relatives can feel even when they aren't spending a lot of time together, and how it's the little moments in life that are ultimately the most memorable. And I know that Archana, the illustrator, felt the same way about illustrating this book. She put a lot of little details from her own grandmother in her illustrations. So I hope you enjoy this book. It's a book of my heart, and I hope you share it with lots of people. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Peter H. Reynolds, and I'm here in my studio in Dedham, Massachusetts. I am surrounded by books and art supplies, everything I need to get inspired to create books, picture books in particular, and to collaborate with wonderful people like the amazing Susan Verde, who is a dear friend and collaborator. We have been working together with Abrams Publishing to bring the world the I Am series. We're back again with I Am Courage. And I Am Courage reminds us all that we can make it through, right? We can make it through tough times. We've been through some tough times recently. And you know, when the going gets tough, the creative get going. And in this book, we bring you a character who is facing a tough journey. And this is actually a scene, one of my favorite pages. And you can see this spread. And I love this because we have our main character who is riding a bicycle and is having to take a peek ahead, and what's ahead does that look like a friendly place? Looks a bit mysterious. So I wanted to create a journey that, as our character looks ahead, it looks like it might be a tough journey, right? All of us have we have difficult days, we have difficult months sometimes difficult years. But if we remain positive and we find our kindred spirits, our friends, and just stay strong and feel, take that energy from inside, we can triumph. And there's another scene that I really like because our main character is feeling quite inspired and brave and is tearing along there on the journey. And of course, we cannot do this alone, right? We need each other. And of course, that's why this spread I really, really like, because it shows the whole team working together. And we have our main character and some of the friends that he meets along the way, or she meets. I never say if it's a boy or a girl, right? We never do. And so that's a little peek inside. And then at the back of the book, there's some lovely tips on how to center ourselves and feel calm and draw that inner strength from within so that we can be courageous. So thank you for letting me spend a little time with you, sharing our newest collaboration. I'm super, super excited. I hope that you get a hold of this book and also check out all the I Am series, and you will have an amazing toolkit for an amazing journey. So I'm going to get back to work here in my studio. I've got some new books, including a new one with Susan Verde. So remember, everybody, create bravely, and let's keep connecting the dots.
On Sunday, everyone gathers at Granny's for soul food. This is the opening line to my forthcoming picture book, Soul Food Sunday, illustrated by the amazing CG Esperanza. So what is this book about? Well, this book is about a lot of things. It's about tradition and culture. It's about family and food, but most importantly, it's about love. Now in the book, a little boy is coming of age and his granny is teaching him how to cook soul food. She's teaching him how to cook macaroni and cheese and greens. She's teaching him how to prepare meats such as hot and spicy sausage links, ribs, and chicken. Now, these food that I mentioned, you might not be accustomed to that food, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a soul food Sunday. In the book, the little boy is learning. His granny is teaching him and she's modeling. She's showing him how to cut up the greens by rinsing them first and you're rolling them and then you're ripping them apart. She's teaching him how to grate her cheese up and down, up and down, up and down. And everything he does, she always says, well, that's the best cheese I've seen in all my life. Or that's the best greens I've seen in all my life. She's encouraging him and she's making him feel good about himself. There's a moment in the book when the little boy says to his granny, I want to make something special. And his granny says to him, Soul Food Sunday is not about the food alone. It's about us coming together, working together, a team. We tend to forget that the first team every child is on is a team of family. And teams work together to accomplish big things. That's what family does. They come together to support and love on each other, to be there and be kind to each other. My name is Winsome Bingham. Pick up Soul Food Sunday. And you and your family go ahead and cook your hearts out.
Hello, my name's David Roberts. I'm the illustrator of the Questionnaires books. I'd like to share with you one of my sketches from our newest questionnaire book. That's Aaron Slater, Illustrator. Here we have one of my sketches from Aaron Slater, Illustrator. Now, as you can see, you might be able to make out red lines and pencil lines. Now, I draw everything first with a red pencil, or sometimes a blue pencil, but for this book, I chose a red pencil. And what that does is it means that it gives me opportunities to make little adjustments as I'm going along if I'm slightly not sure about something. I don't know if you can see here, but this little boy, you can see how I drew his arms leaning out, but then I changed my mind and I moved his arm leaning back a little bit for him to feel like he's more leaning on his hand himself. So that's why I draw in a red pencil first. Now for this picture, this is the point in the story where we've realised that Aaron is finding it difficult to read. He finds reading and writing a little bit harder than the other children in his class. So I wanted to show somehow how he was feeling about it. So in this scene, we can see the whole of Miss Leela Greer's class. Here's Miss Leela Greer, his teacher. And everybody is reading from a book, as you can see. And everybody seems quite happy doing that. We can see some characters we already know, like Ada Twist. And we've got Rosie Revere here. And that's Iggy Peck. And this is Sofia Valdez. So we're seeing some familiar faces. But here is Aaron. And I wanted to show how Aaron is feeling frustrated. Now, for me, myself, I found reading very difficult when I was younger, and I still do a little bit today. And for me, it was very frustrating because I loved stories. But for me, the words sometimes just felt like a jumble on the page. So I wanted to show how Aaron is feeling so downhearted and a bit frustrated, because if you can see, all the letters are here to make up the story that he would want to make. But for him, it just feels confusing. So I've drawn a blank page as if all the words have fallen off the page for Aaron. and so that we can try and understand how he might be feeling about not being able to read as well as he would like to. By this point in the story, we know that Aaron is an amazing illustrator. The thing he loves to do most is to draw, and he draws the stories that he's thinking of in his mind because of the fact that he finds it difficult to write them. So instead, he draws a picture and he tells you a story about that picture. So I wanted to show in this illustration how Aaron's imagination has taken flight. So I've given him wings. He's actually flying, and he's got this magical power from drawing this flower that in his imagination, if you touch the flower, you get magical powers. And I wanted to show how Aaron's wonderful imagination can take the rest of his classmates on a journey with him into his story. So I decided that all the classmates should be riding on flying pencils, because Aaron draws his pictures with pencils, so it felt like a nice thing to do to have them riding on these magical flying pencils. And each child is having their own experience of the story. You can see that some are riding their pencil like it's a skateboard, and others are riding it like it's a surfboard. They're all having like their own adventure with Aaron's story. And even Miss Greer, the school teacher, she's having the adventure too, and she's being taken on the journey with Aaron's story by riding this magical dragon that Aaron talked about. He invented this dragon in his story. And so Miss Leela Greer is riding on the back of the dragon.
Hi, I'm Jordan Morris, the author of Out on a Limb, which I wrote with my friend Charlie Mylie, who also illustrated the book.
I'm Charlie Mylie. I illustrated Out on a Limb.
The story is based on my 4-year-old daughter's experience with a broken leg. She had an accident at school a few years ago and broke her leg, and there were a lot of things about that experience that were surprising and that I felt offered a lot of parallels for other kids who were dealing with pain or trauma or just an unexpected event in their life. A lot of her healing journey actually came after the cast was removed, and it made me think about how people have expectations for healing and just for life in general, and how sometimes letting go of those kind of expectations can be beneficial.
When I heard that Jordan's daughter had a broken leg, I was in New York making a drawing and letter to send to her daughter. I guess I couldn't find a post box other than the one at Grand Central Station. I put it in there, not totally convinced that it was a real mailbox, and not totally convinced that it would get to where it was going.
When the letter, which was very late, surprisingly late, we thought that it was lost, did end up arriving, it was actually really fun to read and talk to Mira about kind of reflecting on that experience. And I think it gave her and me some insight into what that was like for her and kind of how she was still on that journey of healing. And the letter and those questions, even though she had been cast free for a couple of weeks, were still really relevant to her. It was also really fun to kind of imagine where that letter had been and what kind of amazing, serendipitous physical journey it could have gone on while Mira was home experiencing this purely kind of, emotional journey.
I think working on the book taught me, or was part of learning how to be more patient with myself and giving myself time to move through healing experiences. So I hope that other people give themselves that same kindness and also are open to the serendipitous.
Hi, I'm Sang-Keun. I'm the author and illustrator of the picture book called Starfishing. 안녕하세요. 이렇게 인사드리게 돼서 반갑습니다. 생각해보시면 여러분은 언제 좀 잠이 잘 안 오시는 것 같으신가요? 이 별낚시라는 책을 펼치면 첫 페이지에 토끼 옷을 입은 아이가 잠 못 들고 있는 장면이 나옵니다. 아무리 애를 써도 잠이 오지 않는 밤이 있어. 모두가 잠든 밤에 혼자만 하고 이 아이가 시작이 되는데요. 책에서 가장 좋아하는 장면을 한 장면 꼽자면 저는 이 장면을 여러분한테 보여드리고 싶었어요. 별이 가득한 공간에 이 친구들이 누워있는 이런 장면인데, 왜 저희가 누군가한테 공감이라든지 위로라든지 사랑을 받게 되면은 또 다시 돌려주고 싶은 마음이 들잖아요. 그래서 책 안에서 혼자여서 좀 때로는 무서워서 잠을 못 자던 친구들이 다 집에 나중에 돌아가게 되면은 이 넓은 공간에 혼자 남게 되는 이 조그만 토끼가 걱정이 되어서 이 토끼에게 선물처럼 특별한 무언가를 남겨주게 되는데요. 그렇게 내가 아닌 다른 누군가를 생각하는 따뜻한 마음이 담긴 페이지이기도 하고, 제가 별을 하나하나 모두 이렇게 그리면서 좀 품이 좀 많이 들고 애정을 많이 쏟은 장면이라서 특별히 좋아하게 되었습니다. 그림을 그린 프로세스에 대해서 궁금해 하시는 분들도 계실 것 같아서 살짝 설명을 해드리면, 저는 처음에 생각나는 이미지나 장면 같은 것들을 종이에 편하게 스케치를 해봅니다. 그래서 책에 쓰인 장면들도 실제로 있고요. 이 장면들도 처음에 이렇게 이 장면도 시작이 되었죠. 그래서 이렇게 장면들 스케치를 하다가 괜찮다 싶으면 더미북으로 만들어서 한 장면씩 넘겨보면서 장면과 장면 사이에 연출이나 뭔가 그런 호흡 같은 것들이 잘 표현이 됐는지 확인을 해보는 작업들을 여러 개의 더미북을 만들면서 해보고요. 이제 좀 그려도 되겠다라는 생각이 들면은 이렇게 하나씩 그려보는데, 이것도 최종 더미 중에 하나였어요. 이렇게 그려서 처음에 시작을 했었는데 이제 진짜 본격적으로 그려도 되겠다라는 생각이 들면요, 제가 종이에 제가 제일 편하게 쓸 수 있는 재료 중에 하나인 색연필이나 파스텔, 펜 등으로 직접 그려서 이미지를 작업을 했고요. 나중에 이거를 스캔을 받아서 컴퓨터에서 컬러라든지 라이팅에 대한 조정을 해서 이미지를 완성했습니다. 이 책을 스타피싱이라는 책을 작업을 하면서 제가 자주 생각했던 말이 하나 있는데요. 바로 혼자가 아닌 밤이에요. 그래서 모두가 잠든 밤에 혼자 잠 못 자고 깨어 있으면 왠지 세상에 혼자 남겨진 기분이 들기도 하는데요. 누구나 마음 깊숙한 곳에는 혼자가 아닌 누군가 함께하고 싶은 마음이 자리 잡고 있다고 생각을 합니다. 스타피싱이라는 책이 여러분들에게 잠들 때 곁에 있어주는 그런 포근한 존재 같은 책이었으면 너무 좋겠습니다. 여러분, 매일 밤 잘 자요. I hope you enjoy the book Starfishing. Thank you very much. Bye.